David Zaritsky from the Bond Experience.
Joe Darlington from Being James Bond.
We are back. Now, if you remember from our last one where we took the very first Sean Connery movie, Dr. No, and started to analyze it because this came up in a conversation on the way down to Washington. We started to really analyze, are the very first Bond films of the different actors the best Bond film that they've been in? And we found out that Dr. No was probably not Sean Connery's best.
Right, exactly.
We walked away from that. But as you can see right now, we are in front of On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
We are.
Whose first Bond movie is that?
That was Mr. George Lazenby.
Isn't that someone you had breakfast with or something like that? And maybe even drinks at night or something?
Sure did. He is a character, boy. It was a lot of fun.
What a personality.
Yes.
Right? I mean...
Yeah. He is a guy, you never have to wonder what he's like when the camera's off. And that's just him. He is
no
the
filter.
Same guy, not at all.
No filter
not
whatsoever.
Not at all. He'll say the same thing in front of 1,000 people as he will just you and him.
Absolutely. Now, please, let's start off by talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Have to really ask an interesting question because I find that this film has really grown in popularity, especially in the Bond community.
Yeah.
Did you always like this film? The first time you saw it, were you like, love it?
Yes. I literally
Why?
did. It was funny. I can remember it was right when I was probably either in high school or just graduated. And my friend Scott, who I do my reviews with, by the way, we were talking and I was really getting the Bond bug. And of course, this was the days of For Your Eyes Only and Octopussy, and I was really starting to get the bug. And he says, have you seen On Her Majesty's Secret Service? And I said, no. And I'm like, was Roger Moore in that? He says, no. So he just put it on. We watched.
Yep.
This was the days of Laserdisc, by the way. I was hooked right out of the gate. I really was. I can't tell you. I only remember the score stuck with me. Even which we probably look back on now and sort of take for granted, but that bobsled scene.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was great. It was awesome because it was an action moment that you and I could probably have, literally.
Right.
It was not like this over-the-top crazy thing.
Yes.
The ski chases were amazing. The score with it was amazing. The bobsled. The romance was second to none. It was the first time you saw a Bond movie with a genuine romance.
Yep.
And it was kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
And wow, did that resonate.
It's amazing too because I'm going to kind of blow you away. So and this is like a point counterpoint type thing, and it should be because otherwise, if we're in agreement with each other for like 40 minutes, you're going to fall asleep. First time I saw On Her Majesty's Secret Service from beginning to end. Now I had grown up with Bond, so I saw excerpts on TV and things like that. Beginning to end was 1997 when I got back into Bond. I had seen Tomorrow Never Dies and it blew me away and it got me back into Bond in a big way in the Bond lifestyle. And I'm like, I'm going to see all the movies. I'm going to get the VHSs. Remember those? And I remember very specifically watching it and I didn't like it. And I'll tell you why I didn't like it. It was George. It was, for some reason, I felt that was not the performance of my Bond. Now, I will tell you, looking back on it, my views have changed, and I'll get into that in a second. But I was coming off of Brosnan, who looks like a model, but doesn't act like a model. I mean, he's got this, swarthiness, this charm. He's just really, I thought that was Bond for me. That bothered me. But I was really conflicted because I knew it was an amazing Bond film because at the same time of watching the movies, what I would do is I would read the book.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Out of any movie ever made Bond related, this thing follows the book. It's like the script is right there.
Literally. Yeah. Right. It is almost, I'll even do you one better.
Yeah.
Not only it is so faithful to the book where you read the book and you just feel like it's a novelization of a movie you just saw.
Yes.
It is eerily just spot on perfect. This film actually takes a liberty with the book that I think improves on it, which is, I don't know if you remember this, the end where he has escaped his Gloria.
Right.
He's met up with Tracy, they've escaped together. Well, in the novel, he just leaves her at a hotel and says, you stay here and I'm going to go get the bad guy. The film takes it up a notch where they kidnap her and they bring her to Piz Gloria. So that adds a level of tension.
I had forgotten that. That's great.
And again, it's like normally I'd be like, stick with the book, don't mess with the books, just stick with the book.
Yeah.
they really did improve upon it with that. So yeah, not only do they do the novel perfectly, but they actually do it even. It's almost like even Ian Fleming didn't know how good it could be.
Yeah, and it's a good point, because what I think this film did so well is, take George's acting or persona of Bond aside, it surrounded everything else with those perfect, beautiful Bond moments that we even talked in Dr. No of, like, first of all, it's amazing looking. The whole film, the color, the environments. I mean, to me, it's my favorite James Bond location. Everybody's like, what's your favorite James Bond location? It's Switzerland. It's Piz Gloria. It's gotta be. It takes these amazing locations that are very Bond-like. It gives you an amazing Bond score. I mean, arguably one of the best Bond scores
magnificent, absolutely magnificent,
ever. Yeah. And then it also puts Bond in Bond situations. And I know that's like everybody out there is going to be going like, duh, what does that mean? This movie's about Bond. It's not, oh, it's the bad guy story. Oh, it's the Bond girl story. They happen to be cohorts in his journey. This is his journey.
Sure. Right, and he utilizes his own skills. There's no Bond gadgets except for maybe like the little clicky camera and maybe the old timey Xerox machine back then, which is like
true.
High tech for that time. I mean, it is Bond with his skills and instincts to get himself out of situations.
Perfect example of that. One of my favorite parts of the film. It's not what anybody would think. It's probably nobody else's favorite part. When he takes his pockets inside out, right? And he uses it to grip on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Totally.
That's such a... Because I even like when Connery in Dr. No uses a hair to see if anybody's broken into his closet.
Right.
Simplicity. And I hope... the wonderful Bond producers out there are looking at that. It's these simple moments in the Bond films that connect with us, not an invisible vanquish. I'm just saying. Just saying.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of people would. You mentioned George's performance, and that is one of the things. I think that really does sort of make it or break it for a lot of people. I think a lot of people will watch that film and just basically watch George, and they either they connect or they don't. He's in fact it's the kind of film, and he's probably the kind of person. Either you like that or you don't.
Right.
It's really weird because I've watched that film many times, and I feel like I've noticed he does seem like a kid who's sort of living a dream. He kind of walks like, I kind of find that he smiles too much. Like it's almost like it's a self-satisfaction, which works for James Bond, but is it the kind of is it too much self-satisfaction? Like, again, he's a kid in his 20s doing James Bond.
Interesting.
So it's almost like that kind of arrogance that he has, he needed that arrogance to get the role, frankly.
Right.
I mean, who else would have the stones to barge your way into a director's office, make up a line of BS to get your dream role?
You got to give it to him for that.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's an interesting perspective, because I mean, it's almost like he's been invited to Secret Cinema, James Bond Casino Royale, and he's like, I'm just playing James Bond for the evening, so I'm gonna have fun with it.
Seriously, I mean, there's moments when he walks when he goes to see M at his house, and M is doing the lepidoptery, the butterfly collecting.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, and again, but this is a Bond. They make it. They sort of hit you over the head with, this is the same James Bond he's super duper smart. So every moment, the caviar, the perfume, the butterflies, he knows it. We get it. But he kind of walks in.
Unusually small for them fellas polychlorus.
Well, that's unusually small for, and he kind of he kind of smiles and puts his chest out a little bit like aren't I smart? And I kind of feel like that's sort of that sort of shows you a lot about.
Weren't they teaching him acting on the fly? I mean, the director was like, all right, I won't tell your secret, and you stick with me and I'll make you an actor.
Right.
Not, hey, an actor walked in.
Right, exactly.
This was a guy, carrying fry chocolates and,
the fry guy.
The fry guy.
Yeah.
He was the fry guy.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, we need to talk about his look. So Bond as a look. So I'm not going to start this one because, I'll obviously come with a lot of jaded, feelings with this. What did you think of Bond's look in this movie?
That's interesting because it was okay. I don't got a whole lot more than that. He's wearing what is kind of traditional this was the ruffles, on the shirt, under the tux. Something that we obviously don't do today. It was probably kind of a short-lived phenomenon. The suits are just kind of okay. There's nothing that he's wearing in this film that I walked away with, except maybe for the kilt,
Right.
that I would say, "Ooh, that's something I would wear." There's really nothing fashion-wise that jumps out at me. Even boy, could you imagine trying to ski in that outfit? How could you not freeze your stones off with it?
Yeah, it's definitely made for fashion. So this will surprise you. So I liked his look in this movie,
Okay.
and it's not even about so much the suits, but it was more the casual outfits. Like even when he comes back from golf, that outfit with kind of like the orange sweater and the beige kind of jumper.
Okay.
But when he's in Blofeld's lair and he wakes up and it's like, it's Christmas, 007.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he's wearing that shawl cardigan.
Yes.
And he's wearing kind of
Very
the
true, yeah.
casual pants, and he's wearing the chukka boots. It's like, that's something, if Craig was wearing today, we would all own it. You'd be wearing it, I'd be wearing it. So I like that. Now, Sir Hilary Bray with the kilt, I think only Simon Rusgar could get away with that.
He could. He does.
but that's a disguise.
Yeah,
So that to
right.
me is Bond in disguise, like
Right, so it almost
Inspector.
doesn't even, yeah.
He's wearing when he goes for the funeral, he's wearing like a very Italian mob outfit, and everybody's like, he didn't look like Bond. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be.
Right, yeah.
He was under disguise. But overall, I kind of liked his look in this.
You know what? And that's actually some very good points. I really wasn't thinking about those scenes, but you're absolutely right. There was some good ones. I'll even hand it to him for the ascot in the bull riding, the bullfighting scene.
Very appropriate. All right, here we go. So it's a sign of the times. It's 1969.
9.
Thank you. Well, obviously, because we're amongst the 50th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
We're in it.
Yep.
So was there anything that smacked of you as, ooh, he couldn't do that nowadays?
I can't really think of much. I mean, there's obviously the aspect of him essentially trying to shag as many women at his glory as he possibly can. That's probably not one that you want to sit next to your girlfriend, and then he runs off and
Good for him.
His fiance is waiting for him down in the thing as he's up to doing that.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that one's a little okay.
Yeah.
But hey, and again, I have to sort of laugh and give it to George and say, not too off of the actor, really.
It was life imitating art, art imitating life.
Exactly. There you go.
By the way, I thought even the relationship that he had with Tracy was almost like very much Shakespearean of Taming of the Shrew. So if you ever like understand Taming of the Shrew, it's that type of regiment that they need to go through. It's that conflict. Wait a minute, I'm slowly starting in love. And they tried to do it.
Yes.
They tried to do it. I say the word try, with Madeline and Bond Inspector.
Yes.
Where it's like conflict, and all of a sudden, cue Sam Smith music. And I think it works much better in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Completely. And I actually sort of almost wish in a way that they kind of followed the On Her Majesty's model in that respect. Because and I don't know if you could have, so I could be talking. But yeah, the way they do it in On Her Majesty's is so good. So, and again, right from the novel. And it's interesting, too, because the novel, when you read it, happens toward the beginning. It's kind of a lot of it's done in flashbacks, but they kind of do it almost, they sort of change it up in the film.
Yes.
So the timeline is a little out of whack, but the way it comes off in the film is great, because I love the awkward introductions to her in the beginning. The way they meet and the scene in the casino that scene in the casino. Wow, is that great?
It's fantastic.
It's an underrated, so I kind of, somebody, do people understand how good this is? Because again, we usually have a Bond casino scene.
Right.
This
Standard.
one is so integral to the story. Again, it's right from the novel.
Yeah.
It's a scene where it essentially sort of, it creates the relationship that he has with Tracy, where it's an uncomfortable union.
Yeah.
She's in trouble. He rescued her. She feels obligated. So it's an interesting dynamic to start out from. Where they go from there, it's all terrific. And again, I'm not one for love montages, but I think this one works.
And I think that the casino scene, what I also like about it from a Bond standpoint, it shows him as this very capable entity. I mean, seamlessly, he says, "Oh, maybe I didn't say, but she's playing with me. I forgot."
Yes.
Those smoothness of Bond to handle not just physically every situation, but verbally is part of Bond. That's why we emulate it. All right, here we go. we know that On Her Majesty's Secret Service has become a classic to the standpoint of, I think, other Bond moments are compared. Even, everybody knows that Léa Seydoux is coming back. They're like, oh, maybe they'll pull an On Her Majesty's Secret Service and kill her off. It's used as a comparison. So, Joe Darlington of Being James Bond, is On Her Majesty's Secret Service George Lazenby's best Bond film? Now think.
Hang on.
I do not want you to answer right now. We have time.
You know what?
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
I'll go with yes. Let's give it.
No, that's surprising.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
For me, no.
Not quite.
Of course it was. I mean, that's it. I mean, you hear, if you've watched our vlog about George's interview at the Spy Museum, it is a bit of an atrocity, because as much as when the first time I saw him, I was like, that's not my Bond. I think over the years, obviously, my appreciation of him in that role has absolutely grown. I think I would have liked to have seen maybe 2 more.
One of the interesting things about On Her Majesty's, because it is George's one and only, you don't sit around comparing his performance here versus his performance there.
True.
It's almost like, think of the first time you saw Casino Royale, before you ever heard of a Quantum.
Yep.
It was a new actor who brought his own stuff, and it sort of created this incredibly unique experience.
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's is the same way. You brought in a whole different actor who didn't have the baggage. I mean, people love to say, boy, wouldn't On Her Majesty's be great if Connery had done it? I don't find that. I don't think so. I think the answer is clearly no. I think Connery was exhausted at that point. I think he had had enough. The Performance in Diamonds shows.
Yeah.
So I don't really think you would have had the same performance. The fact that they are kind of young people meeting for the first time, again, George he's fresh, he's new. So again, even if the performance is not your cup of tea, you still have to. I think the uniqueness of it and the fact that he has a new face to you allows you to believe certain things. Right. Like if Connery walks in and now he's suddenly falling in love when he could barely muster up enough energy to I mean, you see the way Connery is with his women.
Right.
It would have been a hard sell to say, wow, now he's really in love for the first time.
Yeah.
This new James Bond, you can buy it.
Right. I agree. So that is kind of the momentum. And I think, one of the things that as we usher off On Her Majesty's Secret Service and look to the others, we're going to really be able to kind of measure these during time. This was a tough one because it is his one and only.
Yeah.
And by the way, George has a very funny line during that particular interview where some very young, unassuming man in the audience asked him, hey, have you seen the Daniel Craig films? And he goes, why? I was in the best one. Why would I watch any ones after? And he claims that he hasn't seen any Bond films after that.
Yeah.
So for him, it's not only the one and only he was in, it's the one and only he's seen.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that's, I mean, assuming he owns a television, I'm sure he's had to have seen a couple over the years. I mean, I can't go through Thanksgiving or Christmas without a couple on the TV. So, who knows?
Little dubious.
Yeah.
Well, that's our overview, and we will return in Live and Let Die, won't we?
Yes, we will.
As they say. So this has been David Zaritsky.
Joe Darlington.
We'll see you very soon. Take care.
See you then.